Pop-up headlights, real gauges, and physical buttons and knobs? Where did all our favorite features go? Today on Idealist, we're coming at you with 8 ideal car features that need to make a comeback.
Yes, the 86 to the ideal C5 Corvette to the oh so beautiful RX-7. Pop-up headlights were a staple of sports car style. They just gave so much character to a car. So even if you're like me, which you probably are since you're subscribed to Ideal Cars, you can hop behind the wheel of an NA Miata and do the Miata wink, and instantly everyone will love you. Now, safety regulations killed the pop-up headlights. And honestly, the switch to LEDs means that there's really no reason to hide the eyes since they fit into the grille so well. There are new cars that would be perfect for modern pop-up headlights though. Specifically, the cars that have no grills. Electrics, like the gorgeous Porsche Taycan, have no radiator, so there's really no grill for the lights. Just imagine if the entire front end of the car was clean, unbroken, and then the night hits, and boom, the headlights just pop out of nowhere and illuminate the road. Speaking of a focus on style, where did all the chrome go? Let me take you back to the roaring 50s, or was it the roaring 20s? Anyways, let's go back to the 1950s, where chrome bumpers were a serious statement. It's bling for your car, something that sparkles in the sun and protects your car too. And it's not just chrome. I'm gonna take this moment to rant about how almost all cars look the same now, because car companies just lost the drive to be different. Big chrome bumpers, giant fins, tons and tons of vinyl. I'm not saying that that design is completely gone. You can still get a shaker hood if you knew where to look, but nowadays it's reserved for only expensive or specialized vehicles. In the old days though, chrome, wild grille designs, insane doors, and absurd body shapes were the norm. Just look at the 1957 Bel Air, which was actually my dad's first car, believe it or not. Not only does it have mile-high tail fins, shaped lights, and an incredible chrome bumper my dad would not shut up about, which I can understand why, but the gas filler cap is hidden. Do you know where it is? Yeah, it's in one of the fins. And there's actually a way that you can earn money at a car show. My dad taught me this trick. Find a Bel Air or 210 hardtop, then bet your buddy that he can't find the gas cap.
Oh, it pulls down. And there's the gas cap.
Wow.
Nowadays, crash safety standards have ruined a lot of design cues, and a focus on aerodynamics ruined the rest of them. But I feel like car companies have gotten a little bit lazy and have just let computers do all of the thinking. Where's the boldness, Mazda? And while I'm ranting about design details, I want manual gauges again. Okay. Be honest. Seriously, be honest with me. The reason that the Supra and the Eclipse in Fast and Furious were awesome is because that they had a bunch of gauges that let you know action was happening. Well, maybe not. But man, there is something so satisfying about knowing there is a direct connection between the engine and the little needle that tells you how fast the engine is spinning. And when you step on the gas and watch those RPMs climb, and then watch the speedometer creep up in numbers, it is a great feeling. There really is no replacement for that type of motoring. But now there's an intermediary, a computer brain that decides what to show you and what not. A lot of new cars don't even have a tach. So how would you know if you're banging it off the rev limiter? It's like, what am I supposed to watch when I drive? The road? That's so passe. And don't even get me started on digital gauges that don't have a needle. Like if it just tells you the speed is a number, it just messes with my brain. It can say 100, but I just see 10. And so, well, I try to go faster. And then the blue and red show up, it's a mess. I just wish there were analog gauges. And while I'm ranting about computers, I also miss dashboards that you don't need a comp sci degree to operate. See, I bet when you're driving, you don't want to have to take your eyes off the road and figure out how to turn up the volume to your favorite song. It's so easy to just have a dial. Dial goes up, volume goes up. No annoying touchscreens that, well, you thought you were on the Spotify app, but you were really on the AC controls. So you go to skip a song and suddenly you're blasted by a damn furnace from hell. And then, YouTube girlfriend is staring at you like some idiot that doesn't know how to use a smartphone. Yeah, she still hasn't figured out, but I'm definitely marrying up. Now, I know the Tesla look is in. You know the one, where there's nothing but an iPad in the middle of the dash and pretty much ugly everywhere else. The good news is, though, that car companies are actually coming around. They kind of realized that going full iPad is bad, and a lot of new cars are starting to feature real buttons again. So at least there's that. It's too bad they aren't doing that with manual transmissions. And no, I'm not gonna say that manual transmissions are extinct, though they're headed that way, along with internal combustion engines. It's why we made t-shirts to save them, so go check it out if you want. I will, however, talk about the style of manual transmission that I think would be a ton of fun to bring back. Sit down, buckle up, and watch. See that? He just shifted gears by pulling a stick coming from the steering column. And no, that is not an automatic. It's actually a manual transmission with a third pedal. Yeah, a clutch. But to save space and make the interior more open, car companies used to put the shifter near the steering wheel. You might hear it as 3 on the tree, meaning a 3-speed on the tree, that is the steering column. And believe it or not, it was actually the base model option on a lot of trucks and cars. Nowadays though, just getting a manual period is super rare. But if you wanted like a 74 Chevrolet truck, it costs more to move the shifter to the floor, which you've probably heard of this saying too, 4 on the floor. 4-speed with a floor-mounted manual transmission. And you know what cost even more than that? An automatic. Today, it's the opposite. In fact, it kind of hurts to say this out loud, but manual transmissions used to be referred to simply as standard. As in, my 997 has a standard transmission instead of an auto, or in the case of a 997, an auto tragic. And in some places, you'll actually still hear that, like in Europe, where manuals are still pretty normal. But in the US, they definitely aren't standard. But seriously, how cool would it be if you got behind the wheel of a new muscle car, like a Chrysler 300C, let's say, and it had the option of a column shift? So you could just totally live the 55 life. And heck, while you're at it, throw a hood ornament on for good measure. Seriously, do you remember those? The Rolls-Royce has the Spirit of Ecstasy, which lets everyone know you had a Rolls. Mercedes had the 3-pointed star, which they were still doing in the 90s. Mac's Bulldog, He Dancin' Elephant, and of course, the Leaping Jaguar. All are instantly recognizable and add a little piece of flair that really completes the feeling of having a nice car. You look back now and it's just a hood. It's aerodynamic and clean. More importantly, easy to manufacture and cheap. But in the golden age of automotive design, when each manufacturer was competing with the next, you would look back and there, shining brightly on the pedestal, is a monument saying, "This car is sick, check it out." Modern cars though, they aren't tacky like me. There is a real push against material excess, unless it's random digital features, and it's kind of boring. Not all the time though, and I want to make sure that I do award some cars that did try new, radical things in recent history. And this next feature, yeah, it may be extinct, but it's not classic. And honestly, it's pretty out there. So that means it makes a perfect, wait for it, honorable mention, baby. And what are we honorable mentioning today? Guitar amps in cars, like you plug your guitar into your car. And yes, you are ready to rock. Oh my God, this sounds like something Exhibit would do from Pimp My Ride. And yes, there were really a handful of cars that came from the dealer with a guitar jack. Most famous ones are probably from Volkswagen when they were trying to rebrand themselves as a cool company back in the early 2000s. In fact, if you bought a new Volkswagen Jetta, Rabbit, or new Beetle in 2006, it came with a guitar. And it wasn't anything to write home about. It was a first act Gibson knockoff looking thing, but still, it's pretty cool. And Volkswagen would actually continue to partner with rock music, later releasing the Fender Edition Beetles and Passats, which have a live stage mode from a 9-speaker sound system. But hey, wait, what? You're not into Volkswagen or Fender? Well, you could get an Alfa Romeo, who partnered with Marshall amplifiers to build a concept car that had a custom Marshall stack fit in the boot. And that's badass, even if you're not into music. Wait, you're not into music? Oh, maybe I was just speaking for myself. And there are 0 reasons modern car companies could just add amp settings to their infotainment center. Hell, GarageBand runs on my phone. It should be able to run on Apple CarPlay. And honorable mention over, it's time for the #1 thing that went extinct that needs to come back. Especially now in our modern, everything is overpriced times. And that thing is bare bone cars that are cheap, but are still really fun to drive. And I think you guys can all agree with me. It's no secret that cars have been getting more and more expensive, but not all vehicle classes have been affected equally. In fact, adjusted for inflation, the truly terrible Ford Pinto cost about $15,000, which is the same as the brand new, truly terrible Chevy Spark. So cheap, crappy cars have remained pretty much the same. But what hurts is that if you actually like driving, well, you're SOL. There's nothing cheap that is also spirited. A Veloster Turbo is 25 grand, if you can find one. Base Mustang is 27 grand. Same with the cheap everyman sports car, Miata. And I know a lot of people are like, dang, a fun car for under 30K? What a steal. But if we go back to the days when the Chevette was brand new, and that was a piece of Chevette, when companies were willing to trust customers to have fun to drive cars, a Mustang GT, not the base model, the GT, was $9,000. And that's about $22,000 adjusted for inflation, or 5K less than the EcoBoost today. And what about a spirited hatchback? Everybody likes hatchbacks. Like the 1991 Mercury Capri RS. Again, adjusted for inflation, it would cost you roughly 15 grand. Same as a Chevy Spark. Sure, those cars were stripped down and lacked all the computers and amenities that new cars have. But maybe that's the point. We could have a fast, fun to drive car that costs less than 20 grand if manufacturers would stop filling cars with bullshit. So, what do you think? Would you buy a no-frills, bare-bones car if it was cheap, fast, and fun? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's make it happen. I think if we get enough comments, we could actually maybe talk to a manufacturer about building something like that. And on that note, I'm Brad Danger. This is Ideal Cars. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this vid, and subscribe, turn on that notification bell if you're new. We have new Ideal content coming out pretty much every single day. And if you're subscribed to this channel, say it with me. Keep living the ideal lifestyle. Okay, that was fun. Let's do it again tomorrow.